Meanwhile, the president is ready to deal with fellow Republican senators, all 52 of them, we're told, on Capitol Hill tomorrow, to try to win them over to making them all yes votes for this tax package that hasn't been ironed out or dotted, I's dotted or T's crossed. What we do know is the president is open to anything and everything that will secure their votes. So let's get the read on all of this from Ned Ryun, former Bush 43 presidential writer, and Katie Frates, the Daily Caller editor. Katie, what do you make of how that's going to go, especially if among those senators, I assume, will be John McCain?
Well, you're right. The senator will be there. And actually, about 2 hours ago, he kind of alluded to this in an interview, his relationship with Trump, saying that it was basically non-existent. And I would say it's definitely going to be difficult for them. You know what John McCain wants. He wants more spending. He wants more for the military. Trump just wants to get this done. And if they can find common ground in that, I think it'll be great. But I also think that I hope that we in the media at large can focus perhaps less on the Trump-McCain spat and more on explaining the taxes, explaining why this is good for the middle class, and so on, so that we can actually get the facts straight and perhaps have Republicans do something by the end of the year. If they can't get this done, it's going to be really embarrassing. Yeah,
and we don't know those facts. We don't know what the final rates will be. We don't know whether there'll be an additional tax bracket. So, Ned, obviously, while we're focused on these personalities, what they'll commit to, we need to know what it is they're committing, right?
Right. No, I mean, to what Katie said, they've got to explain that this really does benefit the middle class. And again, as it's being ironed out, Neil, there are some things that have been discussed, taking the small business tax from 40% to 25%, which would be the lowest it's been since the 1930s. But even more importantly, I would define most small business owners in America, of which there are about 30 million small businesses, as middle class. So you give these guys a tax cut, you get more money in their pockets. Guess who they're going to hire? Most likely people in the middle class. They're also going to be able to give pay raises to people in the middle class. And so, you know, I certainly hope that personal animus does not come in the way, because there are only 20-some days left on the congressional calendar, Neil. But my concern, having been in D.C. for nearly 20 years, Neil, Republicans in D.C. have two very special talents. One, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, and two, their inability to organize one-car parades. So I'm a little cynical at the moment.
You know, the reason why I do mention at the outset that McCain relationship with the president is you don't have much margin for error here, right, Katie? I mean, if he loses McCain and Rand Paul, you know, could be, you know, a question mark. Obviously, there is this thought that they'll all gather around and do this for the sake of the party, but others might not. So then he would have to rely on, that is the president, on maybe Democratic support, even allowing for keeping a high rate for very rich folks and other measures that would try to win over Democrats. Is it realistic to expect Democrats will vote for this?
Depending on the ones that are more or less threatened. I mean, you've got a few that are more centrist, a few that are in states that may not go their way come the elections. But I just want to say, I don't believe that there's anyone in Congress. I truly want to believe that no one would vote no on something just to spite the president. If there was someone like that, they do not deserve to be in Congress.
Well, they
and
wouldn't
I think,
say that was the reason.
Right. But I would hope that the Republicans, if they can work something out with taxes, that no one's going to tank something that's going to help the American public just because they don't like the president.
All right. Well, the understanding was before with Rand Paul, if memory serves me right, Ned, if anyone in the middle class pays more, either because a deduction or allowance is rescinded, he'd have to be a no vote. I think that's the gist of what he said. Would Republicans then come up with whatever they come up with, an assurance that everyone's going to get a tax cut?
I mean, right now, everything that's being discussed, Neil, is a tax cut for the middle class. Forget the small business tax cut. I mean, they're doubling the deductions for a married couple. First $24,000 is free. I mean, there's a lot of benefits for the middle class that have already been discussed, so they are getting a tax cut. You know, going back to, I think, maybe some Democrats that could potentially vote for this, you got to look at Joe Manchin, West Virginia. You got to look at Heidi Heitkamp in North Dakota, both of whom are in very strong Trump states. So there might be the potential to reach across the lines and say, hey, this is for the good of the American people. Again, going back to a poll that was about 6 weeks ago, 71% of the American people want tax cuts for the middle class. This right now is a good package for the middle class, so let's get it done. And I think the thing that I would tell Trump tomorrow as he sits with the Republican senators, you've had almost a year to get something done. And I find it ironic, Neil, when Mitch McConnell says winners make policy. make policy, Mr. McConnell, or go home, because losers go home, winners make policy. Either make policy or go home.
Wow, that reads like a Trump tweet. Good for you. All right, guys, thank you both very, very much.